Facts, facts, facts. Yes, it is. I think the second movie is going to be, but we'll talk about that
Oh,
later.
I think so too. I think so too.
Um,
I think that movie's dated. To be honest with you.
yeah, yeah. It had his time.
Yeah.
But I was still on that bandwagon, man. I really think they should have recast the character. I think there was a way that they could have paid respects to Bozeman and still
Yeah.
had the character. I just think it's really important to have that image, you know what I mean, of a
Yeah.
king, of a
Representation.
character like that, of a black man being like that, is important. It's something that's been missing for years. But with
Mhm.
all that said, as anxious as I was about seeing the movie, when it opened up with the silent opening, um, for Chad Boseman and the way that they handled the funeral scene, um, I mean, just love the way they respected him
Mhm.
and the character. I
It's
just
a
love the
long
way they
mourning.
handled it, man. Like it was very, very well done,
Mhm.
and you could kind of see those themes throughout the movies. Dealing with grief, dealing
Yes.
with loss,
Yes.
family,
Yeah.
um,
Sudden loss too, right? They
sudden
didn't.
loss.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't really minimize it with like just like, oh, he died fighting Thanos or some crazy
Yeah,
thing, right? Like he came out with a he had a sickness, right? Um, and I loved how they tied it in with like the heart shaped herb too, right? As part of his the reason why like he lost his life, right? Because they're trying to make another one because he didn't have any more because it was burned down. That's another thing about this movie. Um, Probably one of the better movies in Phase Four outside of Spider-Man: Far From Home, I think. Um,
absolutely agree with you.
yeah, like
Absolutely.
Spider-Man: Far From Home, probably the best movie. This is probably a close second,
I think
in my
I
opinion.
like this movie better than, um,
I think
is it No
I
Way
think
Home? Far From Home?
Far From
Okay.
Home. Far From
Far
Home.
From
I
Home.
think this is a close second. And I'm not going to argue much if you say think it's better because like
It might
this
be
is a good movie.
recency bias too, you know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah,
watched the Spider-Man movie not too long ago on TV. Still a great movie. Still a great
it's a
film.
good.
You know what I'm
It's a
saying?
really good movie. Really good movie. Big fan of it. But yeah, one of the things I like about this movie and that movie, the Spider-Man movie, is that they reference their previous movies.
Yeah.
You didn't see that in Doctor Strange. Like I felt like Doctor Strange they kind of undid his character through growth a little bit, right? With the whole you got to be the one holding the knife. When it's like in the last his first movie, there's a scene of him literally giving the knife to his counterpart. So it's like
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like where's the character growth there? It's like you kind of reset it. This is a little bit tough. Yeah, his death shook us all for say.
Yeah, man.
It was a
Yeah, I
huge
really
shake for
did.
all of us. So yeah, absolutely that. So let's kind of get into it. So what did you like? I'm going to talk about representation too for a second because um, like we see a lot of Mexican representation, right?
Yep.
And I'm gonna play some videos from a guy I saw on Instagram that talks about how he feels about the representation and how he was like super excited because he was very what can I say skeptical about the Mexican representation with uh, with it, but it's it's great. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like, I was
yeah.
curious about how
You
they were
learned a lot
gonna.
too.
I
You
did,
learned.
I did.
Yeah,
I was curious about how they were gonna introduce Namor because I was like, oh,
yeah,
here's just Marvel's version of Atlantis, yada yada yada.
yeah.
But I
No, but they
appreciated
yeah,
how it was an entirely different city.
yep.
I really, I like the history behind stuff, so I really liked how they kind of went back
The
and
indigenous background, yes.
this group of people right here, here's where they were, this city, you know what I mean, and what happened, and how again, the same thing that was happening a lot in Africa with the colonization. You go with this group of people dealing with the same
Yep.
thing, and from that, it makes you wonder whether or not they were going to be allies, right? Like how they're what
Yeah.
how was the conflict going to come about? Because when you think about it, when he's telling the story about here come the colonizers. People, have
Yeah.
no way really to defend themselves against them.
Yeah.
But instead of being taken into slavery or what have you, they decided to take another route. So I
Yeah.
loved it, man. I loved it, and I like that they kept him. He was his appearance and everything was pretty much
Yeah.
spot on with the comics,
It was
aside from the cultural the way way they integrated like some of the cultural pieces into
yeah.
his look.
Well done. Very, very, very well done. So I'm excited. I'm happy for it. If you're just joining, by the way, we're talking about Black Panther. Sorry, we didn't. I didn't put that in the actual title card. Sorry, slipped my mind today. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
But well, yeah. So yeah. So let's get into it a little bit. So I took some notes. Let me first actually start off by playing a video from one of the guys. And yeah, yeah. Let's go. Let's play the video. And Nicholas, let me know how the aspect ratio is. I suspect it'll be a little bit better with this new view that I'm trying.
Latinos, this is the movie we've been waiting for. This is the movie to finally see yourself on the screen as a freaking superhero. Namor and the Thalocans are so freaking cool. I mean, honestly, think about it. When's the last time you've seen a big blockbuster movie and there's multiple Latinos and they're all cool? Look, I've seen this movie twice and I can tell you with absolute certainty, any fears or doubts you have that they don't treat Latinos well, throw it out the window. Because Ryan Coogler treats Latinos with so much love. As far as I'm concerned, Ryan Coogler, we're gonna mail you your Latino card because you're one of us now. And in a future video, I'll go into more details. But there's so many little things that Ryan Coogler did to show his appreciation to Latinos. Cannot give this movie enough praise. As if you are Latino and you didn't appreciate the representation and homage to our indigenous heritage, you should probably do some soul searching. Black Panther Wakanda Forever gets a 5 out of 5. And gets my stamp of Best Superhero Movie of 2022. Have a terrific day, everyone.
Wow. Yeah, he was hyped. But I don't blame him though. I don't blame him at all, man. That's pretty much the way I felt with Chad Boseman. Oh, I can't hear you, bro.
On mute. My bad. Can you hear me now? I accidentally muted my mic. Whoops! I do this for work all the time too. Like I'm on a Zoom call, like there's a mute there and a mute on my mic, and then I'll just mute the mic. And then I'll just be talking to myself for like an hour. Well, not an hour, but like 10 minutes. But yeah,
Terrible,
no, so
bro.
what? Yeah, it's all good. No, but it's so cool to see, right? Right? It's super cool to see.
I mean, this is why the representation is so important, man.
Yes.
You want to see yourself up there.
Absolutely, man. It's super cool to see.
And again, it's not representation for the sake of representation, like a lot of things are. I mean, this is actually like part of the story. This is this
isn't some. Let's throw some Latinos in here. Check up a couple boxes, right? Like they actually like did their thing. And one of the things that I want to talk about, so Wakanda Forever has this. They have this. I thought it was I thought it was
the Hadoken. Let me stop.
The Hadoken. Hadoken. Yeah, no. I actually thought this was the the jaw of like a shark, like on the throne, like he had a shark jaw. That's not what it is. I'll talk about a little bit more about that later. But let's get into a little bit some of the notes I kind of took down. That AI that we heard from Shuri, that's Trevor Noah. Fun fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's Trevor Noah speaking. So at the beginning, I didn't notice this until someone pointed it out. Like there was a long take. I love single shot scenes. I think they're the best. Like Ryan Coogler does them so well too. Like in Creed. Yeah. A single shot scene with Creed 1 with him and Sylvester what's his name? Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, like circling each other and following them out to the ring and then the fight, like so good. So good.
I mean, this is probably why we might have to get him on the show. That's a great comment. I would
Oh,
love to talk
we
more about
will
that.
we're
Yeah,
getting him on. That's gonna happen eventually. We just need to find timing. And plan accordingly. So yeah, no, absolutely. Like so there's a long scene with her, and it kind of really showed that intensity of like her trying to save her brother to use this art shaped herb, and it's it's a really like a tough scene. So one of the things that she talked about too later in the film too is how she suffered in silence, right?
yeah,
That's the real Chadwick
yeah.
Boseman too. He suffered in silence, right? Um, which is great. The title card had all Chadwick Boseman, his
Yeah,
face
love
and
that. Love
quotes.
that.
They
And
did
again,
something
no music.
similar. Yeah, they did something similar with Stan Lee. I
Yeah.
think for Captain Marvel's opening, they did with that. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. Something interesting too: the subtitles in this movie. Uh, when they spoke in Wakandan, you see yellow subtitles. When they spoke in the native
Like
Talokan language,
Talokan, yeah.
yeah,
Blue.
blue, and everyone
Yeah.
else was white, which is hilarious.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
um,
So one
uh,
of the plot points that I did like in this movie too, and I knew it had to happen, right? It's
mhm,
like when Wakanda decided to open itself up and kind of
yeah,
reveal
yep,
itself as a hidden world power, 'cause that's essentially what they are.
yep,
Um, Everybody is now scheming for how they can steal this stuff,
yeah.
right? And Angela Bassett, who did Angela Bassett. First of all, let's talk about Angela Bassett. She did an
Oof.
amazing job as Queen Ramonda.
I know this
There's
movie's
some
about Siri, but I think Angela Bassett stole
she
it.
her and M'Baku for me like stole the show, especially
Really?
M'Baku.
Yeah, I think he
M'Baku
did
every
too.
time he's on the screen, he's still in the show. But
I like Lupita Nyong'o. She's so beautiful.
well, you're not
So,
talking about her acting skills. I think you're just you're just
I mean, her acting skills. She
looking
won an
at
Oscar.
her.
She has great.
I know, but when
I
you
mean,
made the
there was a
comment
scene where
just
she
now,
jumped in. When there's a scene where she jumped in the
exactly.
pool, and I was like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, that's
exactly.
amazing!"
Back to
You're
my
like,
back to my point,
"Let
sir.
me stop being thirsty. Get some water right here."
Oh man. Anyway,
Right.
but you see the rest of the world scheming to try to get this new resource, right? Especially the world powers, and it's funny how the United Nations has Wakanda there to try to explain, why are you hiding this stuff? Why aren't you willing to hide it? Aren't you able to create weapons of mass destruction, yada yada yada, with all this stuff? And she had to kind of explain herself, and then when they you saw that they uncovered the plot where I think it was France was trying to steal some
Yeah.
vibranium from one of their research facilities or whatever, and then just walk them in there. And the just the way Angela Bassett as Queen Ramonda, like she exuded like so much power and just like a regal air, man. I was just really
Yeah.
like, yo, she killed it, bro. Like I
She
was just like,
plays. Yeah, she plays very powerful woman in like all of her roles, right? And this may be the most powerful that she's played, and she's done such an amazing job. Um, Spoiler alert: she kind of goes the Obi-Wan Kenobi route in this one.
dang, you went there pretty fast. But yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately she does. But
but
I
I
read
said
that
that too because she argued against it. I think you're going to say
yeah,
the
I was
same
about to
thing.
say
Yeah,
that. I was about to
go
say
for it.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
go for it.
she didn't initially when Kugler said that she was gonna die, like she tried to push back on it, and he had to explain the twist a little bit more.
Yeah,
Um and I like the point that Brian is making here too when he was talking about what kind of keeping to themselves while everybody else suffered. And that's why Eric
Mhm.
Killmonger was so upset with them.
yeah,
And it's I like the there's a lot of themes in here, right? So you have
yeah,
grief, you have all this stuff, you have these world powers and colonization, just taking advantage of any
yeah,
seemingly third world country or what they perceive to be a third world country, trying to come in and take the resources for themselves and try to
yeah,
keep their status. They're always wary of a new world power coming to the stage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that was a huge point in the first movie, actually. And Michael
yeah,
B. Jordan, like he was the bad guy, but he was the bad guy that made a lot of good
it's
points.
like yeah,
He was like,
he he's saying
can't
what a
be
lot
mad
of
at
us
him.
are. He's definitely saying what a lot of us would be thinking, right? If Wakanda, if there was a Wakanda, it's like, dude, y'all need to come out here and spearhead the revolution.
Well, he's like, yeah. So I'm out here, I'm suffering, like all these bad things happening. Where were you guys? Out here hiding, safe, right? No,
Hmm.
that's what he said in the first movie. Um, so yeah, that was a huge plot point in the first movie as well. Um, yeah, one other thing that I wanted to point out too. So the Talokans, right? Um, so their place, Talocan, is actually based off of the Aztec.
Did
You
you just
know,
try to say that with an accent?
Talocan. I tried. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be ethically
Just
like the
stop.
video that I played. I'm not
Just
stopping.
stop. Just stop, man. Just
Well, how
stop.
should I say it? Talocan? Talocan? Should I say it like that?
I mean, you just say like Taloka, man, and be done with it,
I'm gonna
right?
say Talocan, and it's fine. Just like I say Song Chi and not Shang Chi, Song Chi, right? And if I sound like an idiot, it is what it is.
Nicholas plus one, thank you. Um,
Okay, I'm not inviting Brian anymore. Uninvited.
ain't got a Spanish bone in your body.
This is Spanish and this is
Oh man.
Aztecian and Mayan though. Just saying.
Excuse me. Yes, you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Still, you don't have one bone in your
Screw you.
body.
Screw you. All right. So anyway,
Shout out to
Talocan,
Nigeria.
yeah, Talocan, right? You're gonna laugh every time I say it too. Well, it's fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
They one of the things. So their city, right, is based off the Aztec city Talocan, right, which is for like it's like heaven for people who like died at sea, something like that. So that's the name of that's what they based that off of, right? One thing I thought was really interesting is that you heard her singing, right?
Yeah,
And that hypnotized sailors that came from Greek mythology, right?
the sirens.
Sirens.
Yeah,
There you go. The sirens. Yeah, that's where they got that from. What did you think of one of the things I thought was pretty funny about the movie too was like Queen Ramonda was like AI will kill us all. This is referring to like Shuri's AI. And she's
yeah.
like, no, they won't. Like it does what I tell it to do. And I'm like, have we forgotten about Ultron already?
Right? How soon they forget, bro. How soon they forget.
you
But
had
again,
you had Vision at your place, at your spot. Like
that is true. That is true.
yeah, go ahead, man.
No, I was that was one thing. I mean, if I'm being nitpicky about the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like her coming up with the AI, I was like, that's kind of just a rip off of what Iron Man did.
Yeah.
Didn't really. I was like, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. What else did I like about this movie, or just some of the things that I noted? Oh, so when she was with her daughter, right, trying to grieve over Black Panther or T'Challa's loss, right? We saw elephants in that pool
Mhm.
there, where we saw Namor, and that's a pretty interesting sign because elephants are known for like their memory and grieving rituals. So they travel hundreds of miles to the spot where their loved ones was lost just to visit it again. So they've been observing
Elephants too.
elephants.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's where they got the whole great memory kind of stereotype too.
Okay. Okay.
So I
Look
thought
at
that's
you.
actually. I'm telling you, I do my worship. It's my notes. Don't
Yeah.
respect the game. Respect the game. Just saying.
Much respect. Much respect, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one other thing I like about this movie, and again,
Mhm.
Disney gets criticized basically for trying to make everything funny, right?
Yeah.
But I thought the comedy here was very well done.
Mhm.
Obviously, Riri Williams was the comic relief, but I really liked the way she was introduced for one because she is a technical genius, and
Yep.
I like that she was able to. The way they introduced her was with she invented the machine to detect vibranium, which introduces like a whole new wrinkle to the
Oh yeah.
MCU, right? Because up until this point, the only people who know how to find vibranium are the Wakandans.
Well, no, only people who had vibranium was Wakandas. They didn't know it was anywhere else, right?
Well, that,
Aside from
but
India.
who else knows how to find it, right? She
I don't think they
created.
found it. I don't think
They
she found a.
did. She created the metal detection device to be able to go
Who
out
did?
there and Riri Williams.
Yeah, she did, but
That's what I'm
that
saying. So up
yeah,
until this point, only the Wakandas know how to find it,
they don't know
or
how to find it.
know where it is. Well, yes, you're
Exactly.
right. They didn't have
Exactly.
a reason to go find it, but still,
Exactly. Right. So, because they were just as shocked as they. So, spoiler alert again. Like I said, there's gonna be a bunch of spoilers.
true.
The Talokans, they have Wakanda. I mean, they have.
Stop it. Just stop it.
I'm not stopping.
Stop
They
it.
have vibranium. They have vibranium. Just saying. So
It's
yeah.
like when white people try to sound black. Just stop.
Talokan? Is it really that bad? I'm not saying Talocan. It's not happening.
It just doesn't sound natural.
It's
Anyway, go
whatever.
ahead,
I
man.
don't care. Looks like you're gonna be laughing a lot today because I'm not gonna stop saying Talocan. This is not gonna happen.
It's a good ab workout. It's cool. It's all good.
You're welcome. So yeah, I'm gonna play like another video of from this guy that talks about the representation. So yeah, let's go from there.
To Black Panther Wakanda Forever, there was one thing I was really worried about when it came to Latino representation. And it was the fact that the Talokans were all blue. Really felt to me like we were gonna get representation, but not really. You'll have Latinos, but they're all gonna be blue. To which, in their defense, that's how it is in the comics. But instead what the movie did was make Latinos proud. While the Talokans are above water, they turn blue. Because they're lacking oxygen. But while they're underwater, they turn back to being brown. I love that Ryan Coogler did that because he didn't need to. He could have just went, look, you have Latino actors, that's enough, be quiet. But instead he's like, no, I'm gonna make sure you get seen. And several people agree the scene in Talocan is one of the most beautiful moments in Marvel history. And to that, I say thank you so much to Ryan Coogler and everyone who made Black Panther 2. You covered all your bases and it was really amazing that you did. Latinos appreciate you. Have a magical day, everyone. And Li'i Talocan!
Li'i Talocan!
Yeah, man. That was dope.
Yeah,
That
this is
detail
also
like that.
yeah, and this is also shows importance of having a diverse filmmakers, right?
Huge.
Super huge. It's important to have diverse filmmakers. I don't expect everyone to kind of have that kind of thought process. And as kind of our buddy Brian showed it earlier, right? As a white kid growing up, you don't really get to see people of color as heroes, right? So it's cool that we got to see that.
Well, he was saying as a white kid growing up, but it's just like I expect all the heroes to look like me, pretty much. Like it's like he doesn't really think twice about it.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So it's good to see that. It's not just about looks, but also understanding culture, where they
Yeah.
come from, being seen. Super important. It's
Yeah.
more important than you think. It's definitely more important than you think. It's something that a lot of people take for granted, as well. One other thing that I want to talk about too was the salute, right? So you see this a lot in the movie, the Talocan salute. So let's actually talk about that. Let's actually review. This is actually the last video I'm going to play.
From the same guy.
From the same guy.
He's hype, man.
Oh yeah, he does a lot of comic book stuff. He does
Okay.
a lot of comic book heroes. Like you just seen this video on on the Little Mermaid, the Black Little Mermaid, how people were like losing their shit, and he was like, "Listen, you motherfucker, here's the book, right? Like if you're whining about Black Little Mermaid, like there's a lot of other things that you need to be whining about too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all good. Let's go here.
Li'i Talocan! Because today, we're talking about this. So Wakandans have Wakanda forever. And the Talokans have Li'i Talocan, which means Rise Talokans. Now it was revealed that the seashell hands and Rice Talocan were actually not part of the original script. The seashell gesture and the Rice Talocans was actually an idea by the Latino cast. But where does it come from? The answer is, well, it comes from all over Mesoamerica, because everyone did it. This is the Mixtec doing the pose, it comes from the Codex Natal, and this comes from the Vienna Codex, which was about the Aztec. And while no one is sure the true meaning of the pose, people believe that it's a sign of power. Often gods and kings were the ones doing the poses. This is Tezcatlipoca. So there you have it, the origin of the gesture for Li'i Talocan. Have a magical day, everyone.
Dope,
Pretty
man.
cool, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty cool,
that's
huh?
dope.
That's
And I like how the paintings that he referenced in his video, you saw Namor,
yes.
kind of keeping track of his people's history using that same style.
Yeah. He saw himself he painted himself fighting Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see where they go with that, right? We'll talk more about that at the end. What are your thoughts on like the Midnight Angels? You know more about the comics than I do.
I was surprised to see the Midnight Angels armor in there. Definitely. Love again. This movie, so many details, so many Easter eggs. Right,
Mhm.
Having that armor in there, I thought was a big deal, and I think, again, because you have like a relatively new Black Panther, having some additional, kind of like special forces soldiers, which is essentially what the Midnight Angels are.
Yeah.
With enhanced strength, etc., I think can only help her, right? And from the comics, they were used in a battle with like Doctor Doom, if I'm not mistaken. So that may be a hint that Doctor Doom is coming to the MCU here soon.
I was reading a spoiler review earlier before this movie came out, and they said that Doctor Doom was behind people trying to find, vibranium, which obviously turned out to not be true. But
it's gonna be the Thunderbolts or something like that.
Yeah, let's get into that part too. Well, I want to talk about Namor's name, Kukulkan, right? The feather serpent demon. What's his name? You pronounce it. What was it pronounced?
I don't know. Good job.
I fucking hate this guy. This guy sucks. This guy's fucking trash. I'm doing my best here.
I needed a laugh, man. I appreciate it. I really do.
I'm out here doing my best, doing all this research, doing all these notes, trying to get the pronunciations correct, and here's Nicholas ass showing up 30 minutes late, laughing on my ass.
15.
Fuck you.
But
yeah. I hope the Eagles lose the rest of their games.
But they won't.
They won't. Yeah, go ahead, man. Fucker. Okay.
Your boy, Ryan, you have an open invitation.
Too bad I control this podcast. All right, go ahead.
I don't even know what I was about to say, man. But well, actually, I'm about to move on to something else too, because you see Everett Ross.
Yeah, Everett Ross. So that's the part of the movie that I'm kind of like on, because that part. So the Everett Ross arc. No, the Everett Ross arc was purely to set up the Thunderbolts. That's all he was there for, right?
I mean, again, it was.
If you remove him from the movie, it's still a good movie. Like, he played a more pivotal part in the first movie. This movie, he's just there, right?
I'll give you that. It was some eye-opening stuff. It was a little gratuitous stuff, but it wasn't as bad as like Thor jumping into that was a cave pool.
Age of Ultron.
I mean, at least it didn't pull me out of the movie.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth fulfilling his role of I have to take my shirt off at least once in every movie. That was so random. Yeah.
I don't blame him.
That was so random.
But yeah, no, but so it didn't pull me out the movie like the other one did because his arc. I was curious about what role he was going to play, and then you find that his ex-wife is a freaking director of the CIA, who
Yeah.
also appeared in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Boom, right? Chick with the purple hair.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Valentina Flores or something.
as soon as she walked on camera, I was like, "Oh shit, here
Yeah.
we go." This is the U.S. This is a schemer from the U.S. You're trying to get these vibranium
Director
resources.
of the CIA too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm definitely and it was the conversations they were having. Like, yeah, you know, what do you think we should do? Destabilization. Yeah, let's go with
yeah,
that.
which is what they
Like,
did.
fuck, right? Because you look back in like real history,
That's history.
people,
That's exactly
you know,
what they
this
did.
you got covered governments out here destabilizing these regions so they can come in and take control, colonize, yada yada yada. It's I was just like, shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's Julia Louis Dreyfus. She
Yeah.
plays Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Right.
So how come you didn't do a French accent with that?
Because that's not how. Dude, God, fucking, this guy sucks.
I'm here all night.
All right, guys, I'm gonna by myself doing the podcast by myself now. Nice.
Oh man. Anyways.
Well done. You're having a lot of fun there. I got you. Yeah, no, so she was played in Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is actually turned to Captain America. She was in Hawkeye, right? She was also in what's the name of that fucking movie? The Black Widow movie as well, at the very end, the end scene. She was talking to
Yeah. Well, yeah. The recruitment speech. Yeah.
Yeah, recruitment. Yeah. So yeah, she's been around. It looks like, and I do want to talk a little bit more about like did Neymar win or lose in this
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think?
It's a good question. So the guy, I didn't download this video. So the guy that was playing, he thinks Neymar won because he got what he wanted at the end, right? He got the partnership with Wakanda. He didn't kill the scientist, so Riri Williams, right? That like he wanted to. Man, I'm spoiling the whole movie for you guys. So we already warned you that we're spoiling, but he didn't kill Riri Williams like he wanted to, but he got the partnership with Wakanda. I will say this too.
Not only that, only did he get the partnership with Wakanda, he also got it so that, and he says it at the end, they have no allies.
Yeah.
They have a new queen, new king with no support.
Yeah.
Everybody is looking at them now. They have nothing but themselves, and he can just continue. His people can just continue doing what they were doing, just basically wait for them to come back. Yeah,
they've taken all the blame.
He can just wait for Wakanda to come. He's expecting Wakanda to come back and turn to him for help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they need it, they have no choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to go now, moving forward, right? Especially, are they going to try to make a play for vibranium? Are they going to try destabilization? What? So, I'm hoping Wakanda doesn't turn to Asgard. And I'm not talking about Thor 11th, I'm talking about Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't go into that.
I hope not, because that would just be a retread of.
Yeah, and Kevin Feige said that like Wakanda is like one of the pillars of like the MCU, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like how Asgard was, and maybe still is now. I'm not sure.
But like, say it's a pillar right now. It's not really.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, we did see New Asgard in like the Thor: Love and Thunder, but yeah, it wasn't like a whole lot of time spent there. I wonder if the Talokan place will be a pillar now. So
I think it's going to end up. I mean, obviously Namor is going to get his own movie, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't know about that. So here's the thing about Namor. The reason why we haven't seen a Namor movie earlier is I think Universal still has the movie rights to Namor,
Mm,
right? That's why we haven't seen a Hulk movie either after the first
yeah,
Hulk movie because Universal has those rights, right?
true.
So these contracts are very complicated. They can feature in other MCU movies, but they can't have their own, which is unfortunate because I really kind of I would
Yeah,
love to see a little bit more of like his place and like and everything.
it's
So
unfortunate,
yeah,
but it makes it even more remarkable with what Marvel's been able to do because obviously
yes.
on the DC side they own everything and they just fucked it all up from beginning to
Tell me how you really feel.
end. Right? I mean,
Tell me how you really feel.
let's be honest, right?
They did.
One thing that I want to talk about is M'Baku and his story arc. I
Yeah,
love this dude in these two movies, man. I
he did
rewatched the
great.
first Black Panther.
He
He
did
had the
great.
best lines. Back in
I love
here,
I love how he took one punch from Neymar and then he's kind of convinced his fellas like this guy should we be fighting this guy for real? Like
right? Because in the
with that
middle,
one punch, you're like the buck was real, right? The buck
in
was
the
real. You're
beginning,
like,
he's like, "We will kill the fish man."
let's go. Boom. I think we're good. We're good.
I
We
was
got
like, "Good grief!" But then his
yeah.
strength is kind of all over the place, right? Because at one
Yeah, it's
point
true.
he gets his ass kicked, but then on top of the whatever contraption they had in the ocean, he's handed it to these guys, right? And then you
Yeah.
see him do the arm wrestling match with Shuri. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shuri wins or whatever, but it's like, yo, he
But
was
she's
holding his own for a
superhuman.
good minute, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He
So
also held like in the first movie one of the border tribe by like one arm. Like he one armed him, like carrying him and
yeah,
he like joining the power. So M'Baku, I would love to see like an M'Baku story arc, like maybe a show or something,
yeah,
where he gets because in the comics, the Jabari they praise to another god, which they actually do in the movie,
yeah,
Hanuman, right?
yeah. And he's
But
an
he
antagonist in the comics. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I think he's antagonist and he's like a anti-hero or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would love to see a show for him only, right?
Well, I think you're
Just
going to see a good arc here because by the end of the movie, I mean, you see him walk out to the challenge
he's
circle. He's king, king
yeah,
of
he's the
Wakanda,
king.
right?
Well, that's not been specified yet, but like, yeah, probably,
I mean,
probably,
I wasn't sure. I was in between on that, right?
yeah,
Because you had Queen Ramonda, she dies. In
yeah,
my opinion, I thought the title was simply passed down to Shuri. She's the Black Panther. She's the
yeah.
princess. The protector princess.
Well,
I mean, that's the whole
they,
deal.
yeah, they clearly changed it up too because um, Black Panther they lost a heart-shaped herb, right?
Don't they have the
Um,
synthetic one? She made it. She remade it.
Yeah, she did. She did make it. Asgard is more boring than it's just way how it is. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
One other thing I
Um,
like, I know I'm all over the place. One other thing that I did like because they didn't really focus on this in the last movie. The Chad Bose will Sherry said that her brother taught her like how to do a lot of the engineering stuff. Right? She made that comment. She's like, where?
Sherry
Somebody
or
asked her.
Riri?
Yeah, Sherry
Riri.
asked it. No, Sherry. Somebody asked Sherry like where she learned how to do all this stuff. She's like, my brother taught me.
Hmm. I gotta watch
So I
it
did
again.
appreciate that because that's part of T'Challa's character. He's a genius in his own right, right?
Yeah, you don't see him
So
like you didn't see it a lot in the first movie, but
you
yeah,
didn't see
he's
that at all.
yeah,
I mean, he made his own suit. I mean, he designed his own suit. He did. You just didn't
yeah,
really see the to that extent, right?
yeah. No, I thought that it was a pretty funny. I thought it was pretty funny that like Umbaku was like, do we should we fight? Should we kill this guy? 'Cause
He had me,
I,
man.
I'm right with you. Like, I
Yeah,
get
like
punched like that. I'm not trying to fight. I'm not trying to fight
hell
somebody that punches me
no.
like that. Screw
Kicked his
that.
ass.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's actually a pretty a cool part of it too. What do you think of Okoye, her story arc?
I thought it was good too.
Yeah.
And that's her story arc is like a combination of a couple different characters from the comics. And I was generally surprised that she was stripped of her title. Like when it happened, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's talk a little
Because
more. Yeah, I want to talk about that.
she lives to serve Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
But then when Queen Ramonda came back and justified, I was like, well, you have a point.
But listen, but I want to talk about more a little bit more though, because Queen Ramonda was pissed at her because she didn't take her side during again a reference to the first movie, right? She didn't take her side when Killmonger came and took the throne, right? My thing with that though is that if you're angry at Okoye, wouldn't you also be angry at all the Dora Milaje and essentially everyone else in that room, if you think about it, because they all eventually accept him as king, right?
True.
Everyone in that room did. So, but she was just, I can imagine she was just really pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she's just a mother, so, and she acted as such. But also, this kind of leaves Okoye to lead her own thing.
I think Okoye is going to be the leader of the Midnight Angels, Blue Angels,
Yeah,
whatever.
Midnight Angels. Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to be the leader of that faction, I think.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty cool. That suit becomes overpowered. But yeah, it's yeah, we'll see.
Can we talk about that cameo? You know which one I'm talking about?
Which one?
For Shuri. Shuri had a vision.
Oh fuck! Yeah, we just talked about Eric Killmonger. Yeah, of course.
I was genuinely surprised to see this cat make an appearance, and the conversation that they had. I love the way he put it. He was like, you know, your daddy was a hypocrite. As a child, he's too noble to really take care of business. So that's why you get me. You understand what that means to take care of business. You know what you want to do. You want to you're ready to set the world on fire. Do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's literally the devil on your shoulder. He's literally like the devil on your shoulder right here.
Well, what's funny about that is that we'll talk about that in the earlier part of the movie when she goes, look, I'm not gonna. So part of the traditional mourning is you burn the white clothes of mourning, and whatnot, and that's what her mother tried to get her to do. She goes, listen, I won't just burn these clothes. I want to burn the whole world, right? And that inspired that inner Killmonger, right? And then she was pissed when she got out of it. She was like, why did I see the ancestors? What's going on? And she punches this thing and like kicks it back like 50 feet. And they're like, oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think Shuri does a pretty good job. Letitia Wright does a pretty good job. Almost makes me want to forget that she's an anti-vaxxer in this movie.
I'm not really talking about that in this movie.
I'm not going to talk about that. I think one of the things...
I just got my booster today, actually.
Oh, really? That's nice. I got my flu shot vaccine. I need to plan for my booster before I go home to Louisiana. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, what was I gonna say?
Can we talk? One more thing I want to talk about too. Mm-hmm. The big improvement that I thought they made in the last movie was the fight scene between Shuri and Namor. So much better.
Yeah.
Done than the first one, because the CGI was just wonky on the first one.
Yeah,
I feel like if they had done this fight the way they did that, because to me you didn't really need it really, because there's two guys in a suit. Mm-hmm. Have them guys go at it. Have them like do some real stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's good. The fight scene on the bridge with Okoye versus like the fish people, the blue people. The Talokans. That was actually screw you. I said it earlier and you didn't say anything. That was a great fight. Getting that flu shot. Yep.
Hell yeah, I got mine today.
You got a flu shot and a COVID shot?
Yep.
Damn, freaking my doctor didn't have the COVID. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up soon. Yeah, but Shuri was talking about her inner like demons there, and then she was able to overcome that. Like and being able to kind of, I wouldn't say forgive, but kind of come to terms with the person that essentially kills her mom in front of her. That's rough.
The nobility came through. She,
Yeah.
she kind of channeled her brother a little bit there. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Well, let's face facts with facts. If she killed him there, they would have.
War would never end. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they would have fucked that. They would have turned the war apart, the whole world apart. Not just Wakanda. Like, the ocean is what 75%. The Earth is like 75% water. Like, that's not a winnable fight.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the man said what did he say? My people are like what?
Yeah, I have more soldiers than you have blades of grass or something like that.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. So. Yeah, Namor's that dude. Namor's that dude.
Man. So what I can see happening here is, because if they do bring in Doctor Doom, you could have a situation where the Wakandans have to get with the Talokans to fight off Doctor Doom and Latveria and the rest of the world.
Yeah, Latveria. That's gonna be an interesting one because we've established this new superpower there, right? We have Wakanda, right? Yep. They say that changes everything we know, right? Yeah. So we don't know where there's more vibranium throughout the world now, right? So it's going to be a pretty big thing. I want to leave on this note: the ending scene, right? They actually kind of do recast T'Challa a little bit right there, right? Yeah. His Haitian name is Toussaint Louverture. And if you don't know who that is a very important figure in Haitian history, and actually all history, because that was the figure that led the revolt against the French to earn Haiti its freedom. And
that's one thing I love about these movies. Man.
Yeah, they drop those history bombs on you. They drop those history bombs, and that's really, really cool. I was watching James Baldwin the other day, one of his old videos, and he talks about how the only difference between our heroes and some of the white heroes that we see is the color of our skin. Because you remove that aspect, right? You'll be praising the black heroes soon, like the black heroes, right? So we saw this with this man, but like if you look at American history, right? The Patriot, right? Braveheart, right? We praise those guys all the time, right? We don't praise enough of Harry Tubman. We don't praise enough of Toussaint Louverture. Like, black heroes will have a more, if it wasn't for color of our skin, you'd see more black heroes because that's who you aspire to, right? The overcoming of like slavery and stuff. Okay, cool. Well, we are Tuskegee Airmen. That's another good one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, appreciate everybody's time. I definitely have to wrap up.
Yeah, we got to wrap up. Mr. Colin, it's past his bedtime. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully, this is probably the new look that we're going to do now. So I can start getting it on Instagram and playing. The videos looked good too. So this is probably going to be the look now. Looks a little weird on Instagram, but it's fine. We'll be fine. It'll be fine. Cool. All right. See you guys later. Thank you guys so much.